Good morning, everyone. So it's day 16, Hormone Bootcamp, and today we're going to talk about nutrient deficiencies. And I'm going to address actually a topic that I never really even paid attention to or heard about until I started learning about, health and nutrition. And I didn't really know that there was such a thing as a difference between conventional farming and not necessarily organic farming, but I want to call it more of like a regenerative farming. And the reason why I want to point that out is because there's well, the word organic nowadays is for the most part being used as a marketing term. And so just because something is organic, it does not necessarily mean that it's good for you. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. But let me start out with this. It basically starts out with understanding that conventional farming, the way that a conventional farmer thinks, is they're going out into the field and they're essentially thinking about, the question is, okay, what do I have to kill today? Meaning, out on the field, they're either going to have to get rid of some sort of fungus, use like fungicide, herbicide, pesticide, pull out weeds. Basically, they're trying to get rid of things. They're trying to kill things. What a regenerative farmer does instead is, instead of thinking, okay, what am I going to kill today? They're going and looking at the land and thinking about, how am I going to bring more life into the soil? How am I going to bring more life into the land? And that's really the biggest difference, the biggest approach to what good farming practices are versus just conventional farming. And the reason why this will actually differentiate, good organic versus bad organic is because there is no such thing as an organic seedless fruit that's good for you. Like that just does not exist, because if you start to understand and watch where I get a lot of my insights from, it's from fermentation, which really fermentation is a continuation of digestion, and digestion is really a continuation of just the life process, I guess, that happens when you sprout seeds and grains and things like that. And so any kind of fruit that is seedless, that basically, I think of it as an infertile fruit. And usually the nutrients that you're looking for, the life-giving nutrients, come from fertile seeds, right? This applies to both animal-based products and also, if you are a plant-based, what you are looking for is basically living foods. And this is why it's important to understand that difference, that conventional farming, they're looking to kill things in the soil, right? They're looking to kill bacteria, herbicides, fungicides, pesticides, things like that. That's the attitude of the farmer. Whereas the regenerative farmer, they're looking for ways to bring more life into the field to make seeds more fertile. That's the biggest difference. And once you start to pay attention to that, if you notice on the diet workshops that I am hosting, that's what that's basically what I am referring to when I am talking about paying attention to the source of your food, whether you're plant-based or animal-based. Because if you're consuming animal-based products, guess what? The health of the animal that you are consuming depends on the diet that they are consuming. And so if they're eating, bad foods, if they're eating bad grains, like the modern day variety of wheat, corn, or soy, which is what most of the conventional farming practices are doing, for basically cattle and all these animal-based products. We got Thanksgiving coming up. You know how many people are going to be buying turkeys, and how many people actually pay attention to where those turkeys are being grown, how they're being treated, what they're being fed, right? Nobody pays attention to that. And again, for me, that's just one of those things that I started to become aware of. And that's why once I started to realize that what we're really missing in our diet more than anything is all these nutrients. They're basically nutrients that come from the soil, all these minerals. That's why it just made sense to me that the first thing that I have to do in the morning is basically wake up and hydrate and drink a lot of minerals. And if I'm not getting those from food, then I need to basically, supplement. That's where I get my, my whole mineral routine from. Um, you know, this week we're dealing with beef organs, and the reason why beef organs are powerful is because they are basically giving you a lot of these nutrients that we're looking for in bioavailable form. And there's really those two ways that we're going to get bioavailable form, um, you know, nutrients from our food. One is primarily through the organs, because that's where we store those minerals ourselves. I mean, our organs are really what needs those nutrients. So, like, if you don't have vitamin A, for example, the liver cannot function properly, right? That's one of the importance of, vitamin A and D. But if you're going to get that from animal-based products, the best place to get it is from the organs, because that's where they store it as well. That's what they use it for. If you're going to get it from plants, then, plants, remember, they get it from the soil, but the plant basically takes soil, which is practically a rock, and they turn that nutrient into a bioavailable form. And bioavailable, all it really means is that it's broken down into a small enough form that our bodies can actually uptake it and use it. When you're buying supplements for these things, that's why a lot of those supplements don't work, is because if you're buying it in non-bioavailable form, you're essentially just eating a rock and dirt, and your body just cannot process it the same way that a plant does. That takes time, and that's why we eat plants, and that's why we eat root to fruit. And when I say fruit, I'm talking and including the seeds inside of the fruit. You have to get everything, right? Just like you would get the organs in animal-based products and plant-based products, you need the root, you need the seeds, because that's where the plants store a lot of the minerals and nutrients. Think about a seed. An entire tree can grow out of a seed, which means that the seed contains all of the nutrients, everything that that tree needs to grow. And so when we're talking about diet and understanding how to use these foods in our diet, we also have to understand that seeds, even though they contain all of the nutrients, they also contain these are basically very I guess smart carriers, and they have anti-nutrients, because seeds are supposed to lock all of these nutrients so that they only grow when it's the right time. And basically that's why you need to soak a lot of your grains and sprout them. It's because if you don't, then all of the anti-nutrients basically like phytic acid, what they do is they bind certain minerals to keep the grain from sprouting. And so if you start to notice the pattern is, a lot of people will eat these bad grains without preparing them properly, and what's happening is that it's basically binding a lot of the minerals that we use, that we're trying to get into our bodies. And that's basically what's happening when you're not preparing your grains properly. If you're in plant-based, same thing. There's a lot of plants that if you don't prepare them properly or don't eat them properly, same thing is going to happen. They have anti-nutrients. And that's kind of like one of those debates between the carnivore diet type of people that eat nothing but meat and meat organs, and they do very well because they're primarily ketogenic. I mean, they're getting a lot of their nutrients, but they don't understand also, like, there's the fermentation side, that there's ways to prepare foods if you're going to be plant-based. And that's where you have the other side, the raw vegan community, or the plant-based community, that they understand a little bit more on food preparation, and that's why they don't eat meat. And so that's like a whole different debate. For me, I don't pick sides, I just understand both, because you never know when you're going to need a certain type of food to, heal your body. And so for me, I want to understand more about how my body processes foods, how it digests food, and that's really, what I am into. But anyways, so that's basically the importance of understanding nutrient depletions. So this week, if you're taking the beef organs, that's basically what you're going to start finding. So, coenzyme Q10 is one of the most important ones that completes the cycle for energy production. That's basically what your body needs to start healing itself, which I'm going to be sending a video on that later tonight. So anyone that is participating in the hormone bootcamp, you're going to get an email from me today. If you're not participating but would like to get it, you can register for it. You'll watch the replay and then you'll get it during the replay. And then the other thing that I want to point out, with this is so there's coenzyme Q10. There's a lot of these other nutrients like manganese, folate, vitamin A, and things like that that you're going to be getting. That all of a sudden you're going to feel like your body's actually being nourished, and it's going to, if you feel like you're not hungry. Trust me, that's because you're experiencing what the body is supposed to be like. You're not supposed to ever feel hungry. You're supposed to really, if anything, feel thirsty, and that's basically how I go. That's why I am able to go on a seven. That's why I did like a 7-day water fast, and people are looking at me like, that's crazy, like you didn't eat anything. It's like, no, when your body's mineralized and nourished, you realize that, hey, you don't need nearly as much food as you think you do. Like food for me right now, it's more for there's the pleasure side of it, but there's also, if I'm being active, if I'm trying to, build muscle or things like that, then I know that I'm going to need more amino acids, more protein, basically. Um, you know, for me, it's more about giving my body basically the raw materials, the things that it actually needs to grow and be healthier. And obviously, I got a couple other things that I am personally researching. One of them is obviously the leaky gut issue, which I know that it's not necessarily something that is going to be fixed overnight. I mean, it took years for my body to get to this place. It's going to take years for me to basically reverse it, but I know that I am making progress. And so that's basically how I think of food. For me, it's more about healing. It's more about giving the body what it actually needs. And in order for me to do that, I have to actually, be very clear about the outcome that I am looking for, and that's basically the next step that I guess I want to help some of you, with. It's basically something that I think it's overlooked, and it's so important. It's so important to know exactly what it is, like what the outcome that you're looking for from anything that you do, even from this hormone boot camp. I know a lot of people are looking specifically for hormone production and balance, but you got to have a very specific goal as far as, what is that going to look like? And not only that, what are you going to do after, that happens? Because that's one thing that you're going to find when it comes to anytime you set a goal, or you think that, oh, once I get my hormone production up and going, then life is going to magically change. What you're going to find is that you're going to get to kind of like, a next step, and then you're going to find that if you don't set a new goal, a new direction, then you're very likely to go right back to your old habits. And that's what happens to people time and time again, not just in diet, but also I've seen it happen in business. I've had a lot of friends who did really well. I mean, this happened to me when I first got started in business. When I first started making six figures, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there thinking like, wow, like I thought that I was going to, just be living on a beach and just hanging out, but um, no, that's not what happens. I mean, the market changes, things change, and if you don't have a new goal, then you're basically going to go right back to where you started. And so that's the importance of, um, having your mindset, I guess, prepare for that. And I don't think that people talk enough about that when it comes to health and nutrition. But I think that it's really part of, success. I think it's really part of what is actually going to help people, change their health and lifestyle long term, is you need to pay attention to your mindset. If you don't understand what I'm talking about when it comes to mindset, I recommend that you go watch the anxiety masterclass that I did. I posted a link in the description of this live video. Go watch that and understand that everything, affects your gut flora. It affects it not just because of the foods that you eat, but the energy of the people that you surround yourself with. that also affects it. And the most important energy that is going to affect it is your own mental energy. Your own mental energy, the way that that is affected is by the people that you surround yourself with. And think about it this way: when I first started on my journey, I was told that I was going to have to take hormones for the rest of my life. Now think about the feeling that I got, that I was, experiencing when I was being told that there was nothing that I can do about my health. It's a pretty down feeling. It's a pretty negative energy. And I can tell you that being told that over and over, and basically hearing that from multiple people, especially people with, authority, that affects your energy. That affects your mental state of being. You start to feel like crap, like, is this what life dealt to me? And if you don't think that that affects your microbiome, I'm telling you it does. But a lot of people don't see that, and the only way that you're going to actually experience it is as you begin to actually clean out your diet. You begin to actually feel more energy, and you begin to actually become more receptive to that kind of information. You're going to start to see that, hey, you know what? When I'm around people who are actually doing something about their health, who are actually moving forward and basically doing something positive, that energy transfers right over to you, and you don't understand it, but you just feel more energetic yourself. You feel more motivated yourself. You feel more positive, and that energy can actually affect the way that your microbiome is structured. And again, in order for you to understand this, watch the Anxiety Masterclass, where I talk about how your thought patterns, your energy affects the water structure inside of your body. Your body's 71% water, and the water structure can actually affect your microbiome. You're not going to hear many people talk about this, but there's summits that I've shared before, expert talks, where people that are actually researching this stuff, that are actually talking about it. And for me, I understand it because, I don't know, I guess my background and experience, and that's why I did that anxiety masterclass. So watch that and understand it, because that is going to affect your microbiome. And again, for hormone production, when it comes to balancing out your hormones, this is part of what you need. You need to take care of your emotions. My daily routine, okay, I've shared this before in the past, and I know a lot of people overlook it because they don't see the importance or significance of it. But my daily routine is I wake up, and the first thing I do is I hydrate. I drink a quart size, mason jar of water with minerals. And then I do a gratitude journal. I literally sit down and write out by hand, pen and paper, things that I am grateful for. Why do I do that? Because it affects my mental state of being. It puts me in a positive state of being from the very beginning. Most people wake up, and first thing that they do is they don't really have anything, any routine. And so what happens is their mind is just thinking about all the crap that they have to do today, the bad stuff that's happening, the bad stuff that's happened in the past that's still nagging at them, and it's all these negative emotions. And unless you take control of that, then your day is basically going to start off on the wrong foot. And this again, notice the pattern. The only thing that I've noticed from successful people to not so successful people is just that it's just routines and habits. It's just basically, what are you doing with every second that you wake up? We all have 24 hours in a day, and really the only difference is that people know how to use those 24 hours best. It's because they actually pay attention to what they are doing from the very moment that they wake up, right? What are you putting into your body? How are you feeding your body? Not just how are you feeding your body, but what are you putting into your mind? What are you feeding your mind? Who are you surrounding yourself with throughout the day? Are the people in your life bringing you down? Are they supporting you? Are they actually excited and happy for you because you're actually making changes in your health? Or do they just not care? They're going about their own life, and you don't have a support system. Trust me, all of that is going to affect you. And that's why, like, I'm sharing a lot of this stuff, because it's not just, take care of your diet, do the probiotics, doing all these things. Like, all of that works, but if you don't take care of the rest, I'm telling you, after the 6 weeks is over, if you don't have that support system, if you don't have a direction you're headed, you're very likely to go right back to where you started. So I hope that you guys are getting like the important stuff that, like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, sometimes I want to just grab the screen and like shake some of you guys awake. But hopefully the ones that are participating hopefully you guys are paying attention and you guys are understanding and really, really realizing that I want success for you, that I want this to happen for you. And I'm just giving you everything that I've got. I'm literally just like giving you everything that I know has helped me. So that's pretty much all I've got for today. Let me see here. Emotions should get cleared out. Makes sense, as you have to clear out the old stuff first to make room for new energies. Yes, definitely. And that's basically where for me, meditation and prayer comes in. That gratitude journal, that's part of that. It's basically getting into a state where you kind of essentially wipe out, everything that's happened. You come into a place of being, and that clears out your energies. And it's something that you have to do constantly every day. You don't just do it once and then it just it doesn't work like forever kind of thing. It's something that you have to do every day. And that's really the work. When people ask me like, not just for health, but like in business, for example, a lot of people don't understand that that's part of the work of an entrepreneur is to basically, clear your mind and get focused, and that's basically how you do it. Yeah, reboot, exactly. And you see it in athletes. Like, think about an athlete. If you have like a football player, they miss a kick, and they miss a field goal, guess what? If they have to kick again and they're thinking about the last kick that they just missed, their mind is going to have all that negative energy to where they're not going to be able to perform. But if they are good at clearing out that bad energy, and you do it by doing what I talked about during the anxiety masterclass, that's how they're able to go in and basically perform. That's what a lot of high achievers and high performers, that's basically what they are doing. And if you notice, like, my diet, what it helps me do more than anything is to get to that state of being, to get to that clarity of mind. And that's why I choose the foods that I do. That's why I clean myself out, and that's why I'm doing a lot of these things. So, absolutely, Ina, you're definitely understanding it, and I love it. And it doesn't surprise me that you are an entrepreneur, so you definitely get what I am talking about. So, absolutely love, love, love to hear that, guys. I really look forward to hear more. More of your success stories this week, especially as you guys begin to really nourish your bodies and really feel what it's like to actually, you know, nourish your body. I mean, I guess I don't know how else to explain it. I didn't really know that there was a difference between eating just basically stuff in your face to fill your body up and you're still hungry. You still don't feel like you've really eaten. You're hungry like 2 hours later. That goes away when you nourish your body. You can actually begin to experience, like you've actually fed yourself. You're not hungry. If anything, you're just thirsty, and you can just go the entire day with a lot of energy. So, anyways, I'm at work. I gotta get going. I will see you guys later. Have a good